The Undercover Obi-Wan arc is regarded as one of the best arcs in the series. Yet there are so many flaws with it that it baffles me. Let's analyze it. Well, I see they copied Modern Warfare 3.
All warfare is based on deception.
The narration brings up that this bounty hunter, Moralo Evolve, has a plan to capture Palpatine. What kind of name is that? We can safely assume that his morals are evil. When Peter Parker came out of the womb, they didn't name him Spider-Man.
Pizza time.
I'm not paying for those.
Talk about a lack of subtlety. I mean, it's not the first time they gave someone a strange name.
Who is this savage Opress?
So apparently there's a rumor that the plan is already in place while the Jedi Council will make a counter plan. Spoiler alert, both their plans suck. Anyway, the episode starts out with Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka walking in the hood of Coruscant. Anakin complains about attending a Jedi meeting because he does not want to sit through a debate. At least they showed him to be a little unprofessional at that moment. While Ahsoka states it's better than training younglings while Anakin calls her crazy. Yeah, I'm with her on that one. A sniper appears from the rooftop above, shoots at the gang and miss. In cover, she spots the assassin. Obi-Wan forms a plan where they split up to pursue him. When trying to look for him, Anakin contacts Obi-Wan if he had visuals. Obi-Wan doesn't respond and calmly walks out to get shot. If you're confused, you should be. Since Obi-Wan fell on the streets right next to Ahsoka, she tells Anakin to go after the sniper. He chases after the convict, but he got away on a speeder bike and dropped some gas so Anakin could lose track of him. Once Anakin comes back to Obi-Wan's body, he asks if he's okay. Ahsoka looks up teary-eyed. Anakin says Obi-Wan's name multiple times and the police arrive to the scene. At his funeral, Anakin is in his cloak and is full of wrath. Satine is crying and Ahsoka comments to Plo Koon about her concern about Anakin because he hasn't said anything since the incident. My only gripe with the scene is that the music was very sad in the beginning, but as viewers we know Obi-Wan will be fine. There should have been more silence, and once it panned to Anakin, it cues the foreboding music. At a bar, the assassin sits down with a skank saying she wants to check his midichlorian count. I guess it's their version of testosterone? No wonder why there are less female Jedi. Wait, does that make Ahsoka a man?
Alright boys, let's clear a path.
Right away, sir.
Once he gets his shot from the snake, the skank asks him what's the big deal. So the assassin says he killed a Jedi and it yells it was Obi-Wan. That's extremely risky. An undercover cop could be there and arrest him. For a guy who attempted to do his mission stealthily, he isn't really that covert. At the temple, Windu and Yoda are strolling and Yoda feels that they're heading down a dark path. While Windu responds that killing a Jedi was the best option. They walk into a medical center to see Obi-Wan is perfectly fine. After Obi-Wan asked about his funeral, he says that he could have killed himself and shows that he had armor. Yeah, he could have.
Enemy UAV spotted.
Yoda defends his position by saying he has survived worse. Also, Obi-Wan took a suppressor to make sure that he seemed dead to Anakin. While Yoda brings up that he fears Anakin will sense him being alive. Okay, why put Anakin at risk? He is powerful and emotionally unstable. This is extremely risky. They were concerned about Anakin's fear of loss in the prequels.
See through you. We can. Be mindful of your feelings.
Your thoughts dwell on your mother.
I miss her.
Afraid to lose her, I think.
What has that got to do with anything?
Everything. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Everything.
According to Master Yoda, fear is what leads to the dark side. I guess they want Anakin to go to the dark side, I guess. Yet, the same three people who were concerned about this in the prequels are the same three people that thought it was a good idea to stage the death of one of his father figures. And don't tell me this is supposed to show how the council is corrupt. Master Yoda, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, they're all supposed to look competent. It more so shows how idiotic the council is. I guess Rian Johnson, Dave Filoni didn't watch the source material. As Obi-Wan is being shaved, they need Anakin's reaction to the sniper to confirm his kill. The sniper did not even see Anakin's reaction, he still believed in it. As you can tell, this plan is off to a great start. Then, Windu addresses that Moralo Evolve, a henchman for Dooku, has a plan to capture Palpatine. They have tried to make a deal for the details with him before on this event, but he was not cooperative. Remember this for later. Next, Obi-Wan asks about the details about Moralo Evolve so he can gain his trust. According to Windu, he killed his mother when he was a kid because he was bored. I bet his mother was still proud. I mean, he is living up to the family name. After that, Yoda raises his concern that this is a gamble. Who's one to talk? You let Obi-Wan get shot while the sniper had no clue about their plan. Imagine if Obi-Wan got shot in the head. The plan would have ended right there. But what am I talking about? It's not like Obi-Wan has a brain. He could have easily survived.
Every last piece of information from the databanks.
General Grievous, you have defeated me and taken control of my ship. Congratulations. However, if you're watching this message, that means I'm boarding an escape pod, which will soon be safely away from the ship, which is about to self-destruct. General Grievous, you have defeated me.
Also, Obi-Wan starts talking about the potential rewards of this plan of being led to Grievous or Dooku. Why would Obi-Wan care? Instead of killing Grievous on the ship, he would rather troll. Plus, it's really hypocritical when Yoda favors risk over reward, while Obi-Wan favors reward over risk, and then they both flip stances. Also, Palpatine still wants to attend this festival to speak in spite of knowing of the plan devised by the Separatists because an absence shows weakness. Can't anyone in the Republic object to this? Plus, it's so strange, it's a little suspicious. Anyway, Obi-Wan then transforms into the assassin. Back at the bar, a droid comes in to notify the assassin, Rako Hardeen, that their employees have their payment and they're in the room next door. In the room, Obi-Wan asks for Rako's clothes as Windu comes out of the shadows. In the streets of Coruscant, Ahsoka and Anakin are looking for Rako. Once they're notified of Rako's position, Ahsoka asks Anakin how they located the assassin. Anakin couldn't care less and said the only thing that matters is that they did. Not very General-esque if you ask me. Back at the room, Windu questions Rako on his actions and is recording with a metal ball. Windu puts Rako to sleep and the ball transforms into a spider. Apparently it's a vocal emulator that goes through your throat. I'll give the show credit, that voice actor for Rako Hardeen was pretty awesome.
All due respect, I just want to do my job and get my money.
Following up, Anakin and Ahsoka arrive to the bar and are told Rako, technically Obi-Wan, is in the back. They come across him drunk and Anakin pins him at the wall. Anakin said he would kill him, but Obi-Wan would prefer him to rot in jail and they take him to prison. At the prison cafeteria, Rako draws a lot of attention, including morale for killing Obi-Wan. I'll be referring Obi-Wan as Rako to make it less confusing. Shark Boy comes over, drinks Rako's beverage, and says he doesn't look so tough and really tries to get his attention. Then, Rako says the food tastes terrible, stabs him in the hand with a fork, and suggests that Shark Boy would taste better. That dialogue was pretty weak with all its cliches. Moralo comes over and says Rako's reputation precedes him. He asks him if he killed a Jedi for money or for revenge. He answered that he was bored. Before Moralo leaves, he recommends that the McDonald's secret sauce makes the food better. When Rako is being transported to his cell, he finds out his cellmate is Moralo. Moralo states that he has great influence in this prison. How? Since Rako is a Jedi killer, Moralo wants him a part of his plan. In the middle of their conversation, Cad Bane is also their cellmate and mentions a potential breakout. Why is Cad Bane in their cell? This guy should be in solitary confinement for some of the actions he has done against the Republic. He's killed 2 Jedi, he's killed a bunch of Republic guards, he has killed clones, he has stolen a Jedi holocron, he's killed a senator. Bane has literally broken into the Senate building and has commanded a CIS fleet. Anyway, Rako complains about being called a goon from Bane. Bane says if he wants his respect, he has to kill a Jedi face to face. Then, Rako responds, why would I want your respect? Well, he did complain about being called a goon, so he cared a little bit. Plus, killing a Jedi face to face shouldn't be nearly possible in this universe. Yet it is.
Using no weapon beyond his hands, feet, and armored body. Using no weapon beyond his hands, feet, and armored body.
Using no weapon beyond his hands, feet, and armored body.
Fett killed 6 Jedi.
Then Cad triples his right to let Reiko join in on the prison break. With Moralo's influence, he's able to call the guards and escort out Reiko because the cell ain't big enough for the 3 of them. His influence is that powerful where the clones could give him freedom to talk to any prisoner and have them leave? That's a little absurd that he has power over clone guards. At the prison's gym, Reiko flexes and kicks some people off the bench press. He picks up a communication device that was hidden underneath and contacts the temple. He tells Windu and Yoda that he got to talk to Moralo about the plan, but Cad Bane cut him off. Windu said they had no idea that Bane was a part of it. Wait, Cad Bane has commanded CIS cruisers before. Why wouldn't he be involved in a separatist plot? Reiko draws the conclusion that Moralo hired Bane and the prison break will commence shortly. Yoda said it was foolish to know Bane's capture was on purpose. It's also foolish that they didn't know that they were cellmates, and why would the Republic have them as cellmates? Bane should be locked up in total solitude. Anyway, the call ends because a clone is approaching Reiko's position. Back at the cafe, Boba calls out Reiko for stealing a bounty. Boba finds it insulting that he doesn't remember him, and Reiko says he doesn't want any trouble. He's mad because he stole a bounty from him and demands an apology. I know Boba is a kid, but he has no grit whatsoever, especially someone that's been through tragic events in his life. Since Boba is a child in prison, he's probably been... Boba looks over at Bane and they both nod. We can assume that this is a part of the plan for the prison break. I get it that Boba was just doing that for a diversion, but still it made him look like a total pansy out there. When criminals get out during the prison break, they're gonna think that this guy's a total joke. Boba and Reiko fight and Reiko easily defeats him. 2 clones come over to seize the fighting, but a transgender that worked with Boba bonks the clones' heads together and throws Reiko across the table. As you can imagine, a huge prison break commences. Bane explains that he paid off Boba to do it. More clones come in and could have done more to prevent it. They could have shot more in this instant or switched to their actual blasters. After a couple of guards stated that they're taking their guns off stun, Moralo and Bane are sneaking around the corner. At least the guards eventually took the guns off a stun. Reiko says to wait up and Bane wants nothing to do with him. However, Moralo convinces Bane that they should because Reiko killed a Jedi. At the morgue of the prison, there are clones disposing the corpses and the posse is right around the corner. What I'm confused about is that there are 3 convicts missing and these guards are wandering the halls without weaponry. That's a hazard waiting to happen. Back to the story, Reiko thinks escaping through the morgue is a bad idea while Bane says he has done it before. They go to the door and it's locked. Reiko says he knows how to unlock it and tells them to watch the hallways if anyone is coming. Behind their backs, Reiko uses the Force to open it. In the room, they hear the guards coming and jump into the coffins. They are sent to the crematorium. Since their vital signs are being read from the coffins, the guards open them up and a fight breaks out. When Reiko was fighting a clone, the clone got up near the control panel. Since he didn't want to shoot him, the clone sounded the alarm. Bane complains and Reiko lied that his blaster jammed. They leave through the hallway and gun down some clones. When cutting to the outside of the prison facility, there was one clone facing towards the outside. There was an alarm that went off and the prison break happened inside, not out. Well, for being stupid, he got KO'd, Bane shoots some more guards, and they leave on a speeder. They sneak into some random ship. In the ship, Bane punches Reiko in the face for hesitating and Reiko says if it wasn't for him, they would still be in there. When escaping Coruscant, Moralo was impressed during the prison break and wants them for their glorious plan. Okay, the biggest issue I have with this is since Moralo is the leader, wouldn't it be better if Reiko communicated with the Jedi Temple to maximize the guards to prevent the prison break? Think about how many clones were harmed during that prison break. If Moralo stays in prison, the kidnapping will never happen. Sounds to me that the Jedi are going against the Jedi way by letting so many clones perish. Also, the Jedi tried to cut a deal with Moralo giving intel on the plans. Moralo should be aware that the Republic knows about it. Maybe he should communicate with Dooku that they can't go through the plan, but spoiler alert, he does. Next, another cliche saying. Reiko is crash landing the ship into the swamp because he thinks that they will be waiting for him at the spaceport while Bane is indifferent to this plan. They have this massive crash landing, and how did they survive that? I mean, that was pretty rough if you ask me. Once they get out, Reiko explains that when a ship buries under the swamp, it will be impossible to track, and Muralu agrees. Reiko knows that there's a ship port nearby and they can buy a ship there. He thinks stealing would just get the authorities back on their trail, while Bane wants to get their prison outfits off first. When going into the town, they just walk through it. Wouldn't they get easily caught? It would have been better if the show made them sneak into the town instead of walking right through it. I mean, Morale pointed out local security and they were looking away, but they can easily be spotted by any other guards patrolling around. And of course, they don't get caught. Once they come across Pablo's pawn shop, they go inside and get fitted with less obvious apparel. Pablo asks if they desire any other weapons. Bane responds that his inventory seems unimpressive and asks where he could get better weaponry. Pablo responds that he wouldn't be picky when they're clearly on the run. Bane doesn't approve of that comment, commits Torf with a toothpick, says they'll get weapons elsewhere, and somehow Pablo is getting strangled.
I'd keep my mouth shut if I were you, Pablo. You'll get our weapons elsewhere.
He's barely touching his throat with a toothpick, and why is he making that noise?
I'd keep my mouth shut if I were you, Pablo. You'll get our weapons elsewhere.
Also, an alien named Pablo is very uncreative. But it's pretty neat that George and Dave have an edgy sense of humor. So Reiko tries paying for the gear and Pablo's wife smacks the money away. He's at least paying for it. Once they leave the building, Reiko complains that this could get them into more trouble. However, Bane rebuttals with the fact that everyone is an outlaw here. Since Bane says that they're looking for 3 of them, that they should split up. Bane and Morale will find weapons while Reiko will find a ship. Reiko doesn't approve of his role and says that he should also get the weapons. Bane explains that since Reiko crashed the ship, he needs to get a new one with Morale agreeing. If I were Reiko, I would ask why are they doing the same duty even though Bane wanted them to split up. But Reiko is actually Obi-Wan, so maybe my expectations are too high. As Morale and Bane split off from Reiko, Bane tells Morale they should ditch Reiko once they get a ship. He suggests that they should give him to the Hutts. Reiko starts negotiating with a cantina musician while placing a tracker on the ship. He agrees to the bargain and Morale and Bane come to the ship. Reiko asks where is his weapon and Bane responds that he is not coming. Reiko asks why and Morale answers that Bane doesn't want to split his fee for breaking him out of prison and doesn't like Reiko. Reiko asks what will it be and Morale wants nothing to do with this. As Pablo and the guards are coming to arrest them, Bane says his reward is he's not going to kill him, gasses him and kicks him down to be captured. When Reiko is a prisoner of the Hutts, he's being interrogated on the whereabouts of his partners. Reiko explains that they don't need to torture him, says he put a tracker on their ship, is willing to give him a frequency and they drop him down. Back on the ship, Muralu is talking to Dooku. He apologizes for being delayed and it will be there ASAP. Dooku says no more excuses and Muralu agrees. At the cockpit, Bane asks for his money. Muralu says he has few credits and will pay him on Serrano, the planet Dooku is on. Serrano? That sounds like soprano. Suddenly, they get attacked by the Hutts and Bane assumes it's Reiko getting even with them. Back at the prison, Reiko is hung up again and asks to be let go. The guard says that the deal has changed and laughs. Behind the guard's back, he uses the force to get him out of his cuffs and knocks him out. He sneaks out of the prison and communicates with the temple. He talks about how his situation was rough, but says it will get better as he's looking at a ship smoking in the sky. He says he needs to win over Bane. They should drop the bounties to avoid getting into trouble, says he needs to learn more about Morale's plot, cannot be sent hell, and asks for more credits to buy a ship. Then, Windu communicates that the bounties will be dropped to Palpatine. Additionally, Anakin is there as asked by Palpatine why he looks so gloomy. Anakin is angry that he cannot pursue after Reiko. Palpatine suggests to Anakin that the Council doesn't trust him. Anakin is also enraged that the Council won't do anything about it. Palpatine says the fugitives are at Nal Hutta, that Anakin's feelings are what makes him special and he trusts him. Anakin says you won't regret this, and Palpatine smiles towards his window. Back on Nal Hutta, Bane and Morale are walking back in town unscathed. How are they not arrested? Did they sneak past the police? Did they fight them? We'll never know. They see Reiko having a martini, Bane charges him and pins him. Reiko says if he kills them, they'll be stuck on this planet. Since the Hutts are after them, he cuts a deal with them that they make him a partner in everything. Moralo takes the deal and Bane is wondering where did he get the credits from. Reiko explains that the Hutts owed him. Also, he says that he looks at it that they're even now and that Bane would have done the same thing. Suddenly, Anakin and Ahsoka arrive and she asks why does he think the fugitives are on Al Hutta. He's honest with her and they start walking out the saloon as the fugitives leave the planet in the background. The bartender gives some details on their whereabouts, but asks for money to give them more information. Anakin proceeds to strangle him through the Force. The bartender tells him that they just missed him and they bought a ship. On Coruscant, Windu asks Captain Rex where Anakin is and says he's not allowed to tell him. Windu gets feisty and as Palpatine walks in, he explains where Anakin is. His reasoning is that protecting him is only postponing the problem, not solving it. Windu says he has a plan in place. Palpatine rebuttals that Morale also does, and is ahead of them. He also adds that the Council should have more faith in Anakin. Once the call finishes, Windu says this is what Obi-Wan didn't want to happen. Huh, would you look at that? Imagine if they used a Jedi without a Padawan. Yoda says Windu needs to warn them both. Wow, what a brilliant plan. Back on Al Hutta, Anakin is questioning a cantina musician who tells him that they're near a close-by filling station. He knows this because he gives the ship enough fuel due to the fact that the station is owned by his brother. Back with the fugitives, Moralo complains about the amount of fuel in the ship upon purchase. My question is, why didn't they check the fuel tank beforehand? Whenever someone enters their car, they usually check the amount of fuel. Anyway, Bane adds that he sees him spending money, and why doesn't he have his money yet, with Reiko concurring. Shortly after, Anakin and Ahsoka arrive to the filling station. She spots Bane because of his hat, and they proceed to chase him. Anakin then jumps onto their ship, and Reiko says he will deal with him. However, Bane steps in front, and says it's his turn to kill a Jedi. Cad Bane starts shooting at Anakin, but it doesn't seem effective. Reiko does some maneuvers to get both ships off course, which makes Bane and Anakin fly off. I can see how Anakin can survive that fall, but how come Bane can too? Reiko says Anakin and walks out into the smoke with a pistol. Then, Anakin sneaks attack him, tackling him and pins him and knees him in the crotch. Maybe he doesn't have his lightsaber to kill him. I stand corrected. Bane then grapples Anakin and says Reiko can thank him later. Bane says it's his turn and Anakin gets free. These Force users versus non-Force user battles are illogical. The only reason why these battles prolong is because the Jedi are dumber than bricks.
Use the Force.
Anakin could easily use the Force to trump Bane and Reiko and could have murdered them earlier. Reiko then tackles Anakin, says his name not to follow him as he's making him pass out. Then Ahsoka comes out of the smoke to defend Anakin's fainted body. Moralo comes out of the smoke, says the ship is operational and they need to leave now. Ahsoka could have taken them on, but I guess she chose not to. As the ship is leaving, Anakin awakens and says he felt a connection. Ahsoka is confused and Anakin swears that he will get to the bottom of this. Next. When they're about to land on the landing platform, if you listen to the music in the background, it's very similar to a music piece in Call of Duty 4. Wow, they copied Call of Duty more than I thought. I can't play it in the video, but it's called Chasing the Bastard. It's played in all gillied up when you're running with Captain Macmillan. If you don't know what I'm talking about, to put it in perspective, it's fast-paced music while this is not a fast scene. It is used appropriately in Call of Duty because they are running and it's an intense part. While in Clone Wars, they're just landing on a platform. We can safely assume that this is temp music because temp music is when music sounds very similar to another piece but different enough to avoid copyright. Star Wars should not have temp music. It would have been better if they made a more original piece. Anyway, it begins with the posse landing and Moralo apologizes to Dooku for his tardiness. Dooku said the delay cost him, so I assume he wants to do this without wasting time, right? Moralo explains they couldn't do it without Reiko and says he could be good for the tournament. A tournament? Reiko and Bane say they want their money, and Dooku promises that with the possibility of a bonus. Then, Dooku said the tournament can begin. Back at Coruscant, Yoda summons Anakin and quickly apologizes for deceiving him. Thus, Anakin confirms that Obi-Wan is alive. Yoda explains his understanding of his mistake by saying Anakin is dangerous, unpredictable, and powerful, and that's why it's a mistake. then make it a master that doesn't have a Padawan or someone with one that isn't as potentially vulnerable or significant. Also, Yoda adds that Obi-Wan's life is at stake and they need to have trust in him, while Yoda gives them the option to help. Based on prior concerns, if Anakin knows that Obi-Wan is alive, then Dooku will sense that Obi-Wan isn't really gone. Well, let's see. Back at Serrano, the planet where the tournament is held, Bane and Reiko are walking together, and Bane says not everyone will survive. Shortly after, Bane sees an alien with his hat and asks where did he get it from. They have a shootout, Bane wins and gets his hat back. I would have to say Bane has a good line here.
What are you looking at? It's a nice hat.
Then Dooku comes in and says that they've been invited because they are the best bounty hunters in the galaxy. Additionally, he introduces everyone with his knowledge of their accolades. One thing to note here about the designs of the characters, Firetuck just looks stupid with his 18th century pistol. Yeah, there's only like 3 other characters besides the main ones in this arc that are important. Not even the most gorgeous man around. Anyway, after Dooku finishes their introduction, he tells them that they'll be entering the box. He also adds that only 5 of them will survive. Plus, none of them will enter with their weapons. Apparently, the idiot that came up with this one has the idiotic name. My question is that why is a random character that we just met, Maralu, running it when Bane could do it when he has done so much for the CIS? I don't get this line of thinking. He says it simulates some of the situations that they might run into. Spoiler alert! It doesn't. Why would you sign up for a meaningless test when you're already proven? And you will see that this is just torture. In the box, there is one rule.
There are no rules. Go!
A race? He's a race! I hope I win.
According to Moralo, the goal is to escape. The first challenge begins with gas coming through the floor and pillars rising from the ground. The pillars keep rising to show that they can't stay up there for long. Reiko draws the conclusion that they need to go down, and Reiko goes down because the filters in the helmet can protect him. He finds the way out and the rest follows him. Imagine if Reiko wasn't here. All these bounty hunters would be dead. I'm not going to criticize the Republic for not expecting this, but if they didn't send Obi-Wan to be Reiko, then Bane would be dead. With Bane dead, that's one less hurdle the Republic has to deal with. Back to the story, no one dies from the first test. Just so you know, on the mission they don't even go through pillars and gas. The next test has pillars with lightsaber-esque points that pop out randomly from the walls. I guess this simulates fighting Jedi, but this is a pretty obscure way of depicting it. Let's be honest, how often do Jedis jump out of walls? Why not Magna Guards? The bounty hunters could fight them and then they will have to escape. It cuts to Dooku and Maralu watching at the monitor. Dooku comments that he is impressed when looking at the idol Reiko. Then Dooku asks what Reiko is known for, and Maralu answers that he killed Obi-Wan, but only with a sniper. Killing a Jedi up close should not be accomplished by a non-Force user. But more importantly, why doesn't Dooku know about who Obi-Wan's killer was? Wasn't the Jedi's Council's plan to make it known to the CIS that Obi-Wan was dead? Wow, it's almost as if it's a bad plan or something. Back to the episode, Reiko figures out a pattern of the pillars because of course the Jedi attack in a predictable pattern. The pillars led to a path to the exit up top. There's a slow-mo with the squid for some reason. Once the bounty hunters pass the second test, Dooku is impressed and thinks Reiko is the most qualified to lead the operation. Moralo is miffed but admits Reiko is crafty. Moralo says let's see what the rest of the subjects will do without Reiko being their key to survival. The third test starts with a ray shield from most sides of the cube. Moralo states they gave them a serum that is toxic to all but to one species. The serum makes them invincible to the ray shield so the person could go inside and turn off the incoming trap. What I don't get about this is that Dooku would tell them this information before the mission. They wouldn't need to figure this out on the spot. This test is useless. Back to the story, the ground begins to rise and a ray shield emerges from the ground. Apparently when the ray shields go up, Not Greedo dies. The squid decides to grab it but Bane stops him. After Bane asks for a translation, Reiko says that the squid can survive on the serum. During the squid's quest, another person dies and they pass the third test. Bane asks how Reiko knew, and he answered he used to hunt squid for a living. Back at the center, Dooku is upset that there are 6 alive and the box isn't challenging. I mean, Dooku only needs 5 of them. Why doesn't he hire 5 and they don't have to go through the box? Additionally, Dooku once again suggests that Reiko should lead. Maralu gets defensive and says it was his plan. If I was Maralu, I wouldn't even bring that up as an argument. And don't get me wrong, I still think Dooku's an idiot for signing off on this. So Dooku says to Maralu that he has one last test to prove himself. The 4th test begins with a fire pit with the subjects on a platform. A sniper comes out of a case and a goon picks it up. He shoots the first 2 moving targets but misses the 3rd. This leads to him falling down into the fire pit. Imagine if he just stood back with the rest of the subjects. He would have lived. Reiko communicates with the rest of the group and says the platform will shrink. Reiko is successful with his first 3 shots, but then it gets harder and the platform lowers. He gets more blaster shots and hits every target that he can. However, he doesn't have enough ammo in spite of his perfect accuracy. Reiko shouldn't have perfect accuracy when in reality, Obi-Wan doesn't use a sniper often. Maralu explains that a part of being a bounty hunter is being lucky, and he didn't approve of bailing out the others. If I was Maralu, I would say that he was too team-oriented for a bounty hunter. The platform that Reiko is above disappears, but Bane saves him. Bane explains that he should kill him like a man, while Dooku concurs as well. Even if Reiko dies, Dooku would kill Maralu for unfairly killing a great asset. Dooku then drops Maralu into the pit because he wants Reiko and him to fight each other to the death. Even with Maralu's control of the pit, Reiko defeats him, but chose not to kill him. Dooku is disappointed in Reiko, and Reiko explains he just wants the money. I know Obi-Wan will truly not want to kill him based off of his code of ethics, but from Reiko's shoes, whether Maralu dies or not does not determine whether Reiko gets the money. More importantly, it's a little suspicious. After Reiko's in action, Dooku says that his leadership skills are lacking. Yeah, no joke. His leadership was the reason why they actually survived the box. Why should I be surprised? This show doesn't make any sense. Anyway, Dooku explains that the job is to capture the Chancellor, to use him as a bargaining chip to release all Separatist prisoners of the Republic. If their needs are not met, then the Chancellor will be executed. Count Dooku makes Bane the leader, and the episode ends. Yeah, I know, that episode was ludicrous. On Coruscant, the Jedi and the Republic plan to counterattack on Naboo. Anakin says that their defense is foolproof, while Yoda is concerned that Dooku was playing this for a long time. Also, Windu adds that even with Obi-Wan on the inside, it would be hard because they haven't communicated with him in a handful of days. Before Anakin leaves, he knows Obi-Wan will do his part, but he wants to make sure that they do theirs. From the perspective of the bad guys, some workers are doing their jobs but get sneaked up on by the posse of the bounty hunters and Dooku. They have a meeting and Dooku confirms everything will happen according to plan. He motivates them that they will be viewed as heroes with enough money to put them into retirement. Bane hands out devices that tells them their specific role and position. Reiko asks what their duties are and Bane answers by telling everyone their jobs. The squid will breach the shield. Maralu is the getaway driver. The other 2 will act as Republic guards. The purpose of their devices is that it routes them to the rendezvous point. Then Bane throws a handheld that shows their disguises. They walk into it and they become the Blue Republic guards. Dooku likes how Bane is in control of things, but tells them to keep an eye on Reiko. Bane says he's keeping an eye on all of them. During the day, the Chancellor arrives to Naboo with Padme greeting him. Palpatine comments that the security is overkill, even though he knows about the kidnapping plot. I know he's evil, but this makes him look very suspicious. Windu rightfully disagrees and Palpatine states he's done talking about it. Then Padme welcomes Ahsoka and Anakin to the Festival of Light. Anakin is confident that it will be hard for Dooku's plot to work with the large crowd and the only place of uncertainty is the palace. Remember for later that the palace is not a safe area according to Anakin. Padme asks if the plot is intimate and Anakin confirms it. Okay, she should be certain that the plot is intimate. She is the senator of the planet of where it's going to take place. Anyway, he makes Ahsoka's Padme's personal bodyguard. Back to Reiko, he arrives to his position and communicates with Windu. Windu is grateful that he is fine. Windu asks if the plot is still going on and how it's going down. Reiko says it is, and that they have bounty hunters disguised as Republic guards. One of them can go through the shield unharmed. Reiko also confirms that his job is to immobilize the Chancellor with a sniper shot as he's in the tower overlooking the plaza. Windu then draws the conclusion that the attack will happen outside. Reiko says Windu needs to double check the guards' identities. Windu will do it in spite of the difficulty. At the festival, Palpatine arrives to the event. Anakin then calls in the shield to be activated. During the speech, Palpatine says the festival celebrates Naboo joining the Republic. In the crowd, Bane is disguised as an alien politician. These disguises kinda suck when they flicker the true identity every now and then. The audience could clearly witness this. Back to the story, the squid guy gets close to the generator of the shield. During the firework display, Reiko spots the squid and informs Windu. Windu then notifies Anakin, who goes running towards it, but the squid blew it up. Why couldn't Windu run over and get it? I mean, he looked closer to it. With the shield deactivated, Windu orders the guards to take the Chancellor to the speeder. Anakin goes after the squid, destroys his blaster, but the squid tases him unconscious. Anakin should have destroyed that bounty hunter. I mean, he's right there in his face. Back to the scene, Reiko shoots the squid's jetpack. He tries taking another shot, but notices it only had one shot. Does Reiko ever check how much ammo's in his gun? The guards with Palpatine are bounty hunters, and one of them switches disguises, while Bane comes over to take the real Chancellor's body. Windu comes to Anakin's position to help him, while Reiko notices that one of the guards escorting Palpatine is a bounty hunter. Windu and Anakin stop them from escaping. When Anakin asks if the Chancellor is alright, she punches him. If I were her, I would have waited to make a run for it instead of fighting close up with a Jedi. From her ignorant action, Anakin cuts off her arm. Anakin then demands where the Chancellor actually is. It cuts to Maralu and Bane taking the Chancellor away in a speeder. Windu and Anakin notice that it's right across the platform and chases after them, but the speeder drives off. Reiko sees the speeder leaving, contact Windu that he would track them down and give them their coordinates. At the rendezvous point, Maralu brags about his plan's success while Bane corrects him that it was his own execution that made it work. When they're waiting for Dooku to show up, Reiko shows up even though he shouldn't be there, according to the plan. Reiko explains that he doesn't want to get double-crossed again. With Dooku not being there immediately, they decided that they could ransom the Chancellor. Reiko disagrees and points a gun at Bane. Maralu grapples Reiko's pointed arm and Bane punches him. Bane has a gun, yet he doesn't use it immediately. With Reiko on the ground, Bane then takes out his gun out of his holster. I guess he put it back when he was being threatened? What? Reiko dodges all the shots and jumps onto Bane's leg when he is flying with jet boots. Maralu is just standing there. He could at least grab Reiko's pistol that is on the ground. Plus, why doesn't Maralu have a gun with him? I know he was just the driver, but what happens if things get dicey in this scenario? Like in this one. Reiko successfully flings Bane and has them both defeated. Suddenly, Anakin and Windu come in to arrest the real bounty hunters. Have you guys noticed that all the tests from the box had little or nothing to do with the mission? It was just a useless tournament and the episode could have been written out entirely. Windu then orders Anakin to take the Chancellor to the palace. Couldn't Anakin object to this and say that it is a risky area to take him there? He said it when he was with Padme.
That leaves the palace as the best opportunity for an ambush.
Windu reveals that Reiko is Obi-Wan. Bane is mad and said he should have known from the start. Yeah, he should have. As Bane is being taken away, Obi-Wan comments that he hopes that this was worth it. Windu says it was because the Chancellor was saved. At a military base on Naboo, Padme recognizes their actions. As they're walking away, Windu brings up how he disagrees with the Chancellor, and the Chancellor wishes to send back his security. Oddly suspicious. His reasoning is that Anakin is good enough for security with the threat gone. Behind them, Anakin brings up that if he knew about the plot, he could have helped Obi-Wan and blames the Council. Obi-Wan then says it was his idea. Obi-Wan said that with Anakin believing in his death, then Dooku would believe it as well. Obi-Wan apologizes and hopes Anakin understands that. However, Anakin lashes out at Obi-Wan about the lies and they both walk away. I know I brought up before that they could have used another Jedi Master, but couldn't they use a clone trooper? The template of the clone army was a bounty hunter. I think that would be a much more logical approach. Plus, Obi-Wan is Anakin's friend. He should know better not to do this to him. At a command center, Windu comes in to talk to Obi-Wan about transforming back. Windu senses that something is bothering Obi-Wan in spite of him trying to hide it. Obi-Wan admits that he is worried about something Anakin said to him and has one last thing to check. He goes back to his sniper nest and looks into his case to realize that there was a gadget hidden inside. So Dooku figured out that Reiko was a double agent and did not use the Force. Which means it doesn't matter whether or not Anakin knew Obi-Wan was alive or not. Kinda defeated the purpose of not telling Anakin. It cuts to Palpatine walking with Anakin, talking about a dinner that Anakin is unaware about. According to Palpatine, Padme is supposed to be there. Remember that for later. Palpatine assumes that the plan to disguise Obi-Wan was Anakin's idea, and Anakin makes it clear that it wasn't. Once they walk in, Dooku is waiting for them with 2 Magna Guards. Anakin knew the palace wasn't safe, so why did he take the Chancellor there? Dooku explains fighting the entire Jedi security would be difficult and prefers fighting Anakin one-on-one. Anakin duels with Dooku as Palpatine tries to lead, but is held hostage by a Magna Guard. During the battle, Palpatine watches with enjoyment. Next, Obi-Wan comes running in as Anakin and Dooku are trailing. When Anakin is on the ground, Obi-Wan catches up and they proceed to go after Dooku. Once Dooku and Palpatine get onto the ship, Anakin and Obi-Wan jump on. When Obi-Wan grabs the Chancellor while Dooku was fighting Anakin, he could have stabbed Dooku, and he had 2 opportunities to do so. As Dooku is flying off, he comments that he respects Obi-Wan's abilities while he has the opposite feelings towards Anakin. Once Dooku escapes, Padme comes in with Naboo guards. Palpatine then gives the Jedi props for helping him once again. Since Padme was there, why didn't Anakin ask her about her absence at the dinner she was gonna have with Palpatine? If that was inquired, then Palpatine would have looked very suspicious with Padme's lack of knowledge to this event and being adamant to having less security. Anyway, that's how this glorious arc concludes. I can't believe it's considered one of the best arcs in the show. So many things could have been prevented, yet the writers choose to make the people think illogically. Luckily, we're moving on.
Another happy landing.
It has a little something for everyone.